Hello, welcome back to Donkomat channel. If you're back for part 2, please excuse the unintended curtailment of part 1 owing to memory issues. So I've just set up the camera pointed at this sapling here. I've been using the katana machete to very good effect on these saplings and trees, you know, up to maybe 3-4 inches diameter. I don't think it necessarily does quite as good a job as an axe, but maybe in some regards better. The thing with the katana machete is it's very thin, so it chops in very deep. It doesn't really blow out chips. But you just chop in deep, yank it out, chop in deep the other way. Now you cut a V and away you go. And it's certainly very entertaining, enjoyable, lightweight. I would say that if you're chopping at kind of head height or above, it's nicer than an axe. It's kind of lighter and easier to wield. Just going to wet my whistle with a little bit of this chaga tea that I left down here. And I'll show you some knives. The Buck 151, which I forgot to include in my single unit knife video yesterday. Although I think that this may be my #1 single unit knife. As a complete package, this knife is comfortable in hand. The blade is just excellent. You know, you can see it's just a very functional drop point, hollow ground, nice and slim. You can whittle, you can whatever with this, cut the cheese. And the sheath system is brilliant. I'm still kind of getting used to it, because you have to deploy with this finger here. I'd feel like I'd like it if it were with the thumb, but the thumb doesn't work quite so well. You can see the tab is more prominent on this side. So it seems like the best way to do this is like that. And so this, as a combo, is very smart. It's light enough that it's not really bothersome. I don't like this chain so much. I need to switch it out, but put it around the shirt and it's not. And I can tuck this in my pocket there, so if I'm leaning forward, it doesn't bother me too much. This knife received a little bit of attention yesterday when I put it in a photo post. This is, I got it on eBay, and it says Kiku. And so that would have to be allegedly a Kiku Matsuda knife. But it just said Kiku knives, D2 steel. And it's very different. If you look at Kiku Matsuda knives now, I hope I'm saying his name right, they are pretty different from this. He does this wild blade finish. But I'm taking it that this is legit because of the quality of the knife. You know, I can't assure, but because of the quality of it and the heft of it, and I think that this was maybe a period in his career where he was kind of banging them out more. So the knives were not quite as refined. Didn't come with a convex edge geometry. It came actually with a very unusable, thick and steep primary bevel. And so I blended that in and thinned out a little bit. And yesterday I kind of carried this knife with me for fun, for a motorcycle knife, you know. But then I got to using it and actually, wow. And then I took it out today. I went walking with the dogs and I found a dead tree. I practiced throwing it into the tree. It's really, it's a Bowie knife, you know. It's got the guards. And I always figured this for like a bushcrafting tanto. So it's like a bushcraft tanto, EDC Bowie. I actually am starting to think it's really a phenomenal knife. And although alleged D2, but sharpening it, I don't know. I started to wonder, maybe they got it wrong and maybe it's VG10. It has this kind of VG10 feel, but of course that's down to the heat treatment. as well, and whatever, right? So it's a good knife, and I'm going to be testing this actually on this pole whittling task, carving the ends of these riven poles. Now here I have another one from Arizona Custom Knife. When this knife came out, there's a funny story. Okay, there's something funny going on there because the prices change. But and if you buy that, you can go onto Arizona Custom Knife and find this knife and see the price I bought it for. But you can't see the previous prices for which it was for sale. But when they put it, I can't remember, but it was like thousands of dollars that was being asked for this. And I got it for $380, I think it was. So yeah, not an inexpensive knife, but this is a handmade by a Russian maker knife. And it's a takedown, okay? See this screw here? And on this side it's all nicely peened. Hope you can kind of make out a gist of that. He put this little twinkle in there, right? It's a little twinkle. The knife is called Cat's Eye. It has a name, Cat's Eye. So you have this hidden tank construction with micarta, this amazing burl wood, it's textured, matching. I mean, actually for $380, you know, I think it was a steal. It's Bowler K1, speaking of steel, Bowler K110, which is kind of like a refined D2. And it has this very flat grind, this kind of ideal distal taper. And this is, yes, a Wowie Performer knife. And that's why I got it. Skrilnikov, the maker, is a member of the Russian Bladed Weapons Guild. I guess is, you know, an established knife maker from over there. And they have some amazing knife makers in that part of the world, I want to say, you know. Different countries that are currently, sadly, in conflict, but they all make good knives. And, you know, this is much like a puko in some ways, you know, but yet not, right? The dangler sheath, oh yeah, the sheath is also kind of done to match the burl, quite something. And yeah, this, I'm not even sure, this would appear to be wood kind of exoskeleton on the sides of the sheath, but I'm not sure whether it's wood. Yeah, it looks like wood, stabilized wood. I'm seeing it now. Just because I'm out in the light. I'd wondered about that. Okay, so yeah, amazing. I got a whole bag of knives up at the house I was going to bring down to try, but I thought I better limit myself somewhat. But I did bring one more, didn't I? Oh no, I left the bag. Okay, no bag. No bag of knives. I'll leave the bag. Surely I slung the bag off over here. Yeah, beg pardon. A little bit addle-brained. But let me show you this knife, and then we'll do this, cut this sapling. Then we can be done. Oh, this is kind of cool too. I have this old tool roll. Haven't had this out in a while, but I decided to start using it, stocking it up with stuff. So far what I have in here is some hair scissors, some sewing scissors, a couple of these big augers, and a mini Mora whittler. And oh yeah, if anyone saw my mini Mora video posted earlier today, indeed, Monday, I wet formed this thing. Just wet formed it, that's all, but it's good enough for showbiz, I reckon. Maybe I could paint it with epoxy. stiffen it up. Yeah, I got my tape measure in here. I'll be using that later. So this knife, the Skolder Gerst SRK mod, a cold steel SRK VG10 Sanmai with the Ford 20J2 cladding. And maybe a year or more longer ago, I rehandled the knife in oak, kind of broadly following the shape and specification of the original rubber handle. I gathered that these rubber handles kind of tend to detach over time and become wiggly, besides which I just don't like the rubber handles. But I was interested in the knife, and I just wasn't enjoying the original. In fact, I bought more than one, and I tested a brand new one just the other day, and it cut really well. So the factory edge is really good, but the factory geometry is very robust and survival knife. I kept kind of thinning it out, and I was compensating and stuff, but I wasn't getting the enjoyment out of the blade. And my friend Patrick Gerst agreed to take over and put this full Hamaguri convex grind, very thin behind the edge, came to me extremely thin behind a zero edge, and toothy. And it was unbelievable. I spent an hour whittling these riven poles of maple, soft maple. And this thing was like nothing else I've ever tried. It would beat a Rockstead or anything, because it's so thin and aggressive, and oh, it was just incredible. And there's enough flex there, you could steer it, and I went, wow! And then I up and started making a video, one of about maybe 5 or 10 videos I've attempted to make about this knife. I think this is going to be the one now, because I kicked off and we've got somewhere to go with it. But it's hard for me to explain words, and it would be hard for me to demonstrate on camera. But let me cut something, you know, I'll cut something. There you go. Here's a piece of bittersweet vine. I can maybe have a little shave. Yeah, I can feel that shaving. And the thing is, it's not really for chopping or batoning or anything now, this. It's not really survival knife, or it's gentleman's survival knife, right? Gentleman who will, you know, it's tortoise versus the hare, because you can't chop with this, but the amount of stalk you can remove. You grab a piece of birch from over here. So this birch has been sat out here for, I don't know, a week or something. So it's still fairly green. And that's fairly effortless, you know. I could probably like whittle through this thing. I wouldn't even have to chop it in two, you know. Give me 5 minutes, I'll just whittle through it, you know. And the thing is that, right, so I was saying one of the videos I tried making, I started demonstrating the knife, but I was using green oak instead of green maple. And I did a little bit of torquing, and I went through a knot or two, and then I noticed that I was getting significant chipping at the edge. Then I had to pause, and you know, I mean, it could have been a good video for all I know, but I junk so many videos now, which is good. But yeah, I've continued to kind of put my own scratches on top of Paddy's scratches. One thing I think that would have contributed to this microchipping is that he just did this belt satin to zero, and so the apex steel was kind of compromised in that regard, you know. But it did give it this amazing toothy cut. So, you know, it's a learning experience. And I'll tell you what, to get a knife, it's nice to get a knife that, let's say, out of the box, And this came in a whole box of goodies that I have to still show, of Gerst goodies. And I have more Gerst goodies and all kinds of cool stuff to show and do with my friend Patrick Gerst. But regarding this knife, where was I? Yeah, so I'm putting my kind of scratches on top of his scratches, and then I'm refining the apex. And I thickened it out significantly, so you probably could do a bit of light chopping with this, but I just don't see the point. I don't know whether you can see the line of the Sanmai, you know, the transition line, how high that is. But yeah, it's not so robust now. But also the handle for, you know, if you're going to use this for a few hours, the handle works very well. It's still a bit blocky, but it's comfortable. You get good purchase, you get good indexing. It works well with the blade. So I like the SRK design. I think it's a cool design, and I'm really excited about this knife. I'm still never quite sure about the red fat carbon. I'm not sure whether that was a good choice, but I mean, fat carbon it's a good material, you know. It's so I just have offcut. I have a box of offcuts, and it's kind of whatever they sent in this box of offcuts. So I picked the red, and I don't know. I'm still refinishing the handle. It needs oiling. But yeah, it works. It's grippy with the low grit. Well, maybe I'll just... So something I haven't tested yet is the axe side of this, but I'm going to use this. And in fact, although I'm not entirely satisfied with, I'm going to get into the woods a little bit here and explain where I got it right and where I got it wrong with this thing, okay? Because you see how the blade doesn't come out the middle of the assembly, right? So when I previously put the handle on this, that was very noticeable, and I didn't like it so much. You know, it just felt like the thing is off kilter, like you want the blade in the middle. So with this handle, I've attempted to sort of compensate for that. So although it looks like it's really just bowed, effectively what I have here is, from here to here, it looks pretty straight in use. And it could do with more refining, but that basically means that now this is more in alignment because of this here, which was kind of in the grain of the wood. So I kind of worked with the split of this piece of ash, which is kind of from the outside. It's got wormholes in it and stuff, but so I think it's a nice, solid bit of handle. Yeah. Of course, could always do with more refining, but this kind of came in the middle of the pole axe handle. I mean, the pole hook handle. And the pole hook handle is something else, because this thing does a weeble wobble, and it's all a little organic, and it's got, you know, like I'm not too worried about the fact that it has this this kind of breakout in there. I can just get the steel wool in there, and because if I smooth that all out, I'm kind of starting to get too thin. But it's fine, it's functional. But the pole hook handle is a whole nother level. I put so much thought into that now. So this was kind of like by way of, okay, the other thing's a long-term study. It's like a quicker study. In handle making, I just like putting handles on tools, I realize. Knives, but I could put handles on chisels or whatever, I reckon, you know, whatever's going. Yeah. So now I can test this. Once I getting closer to the ground, I can test this axe. Oh yeah, and so that's what I was going to say is, halfway through my exposition there, back to the theoretical. So what I was doing was trying to displace this over in this direction, right? To get this to be in the middle, push the whole thing over that way. And I actually, initially, I overcompensated in that direction. But what I didn't get right was this alignment. So now it's kicking off that way, rather than being straight to my straight section of my handle. But this could be advantageous, because when I'm using this to chop close to the ground, it gives it a little kick up. You see what I mean? So it's less likely to hit the ground. So although I was thinking about now straightening this, truing this up with that, by pounding it here with the carbide hammer, and a little more there than here because of the way it's... Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe it's... The alignment is good for use right now. Kind of spot on, as it were. We shall see. Let me try this axe side. Oh, it was a bad strike. Ah, that was cool. How you make your kindling. This thing's got power. This thing has a longer handle, much longer handle. This is, I think it's about 36 inches, okay? And a lot slicier blade than an axe. So if you're dealing with these kind of, that's what I'm saying. Here, let me grab the katana machete and hopefully you're still... You know, you got something like this. My own camera. Move the camera a little bit, maybe. Just a hair. This is not very much fun to cut with an axe. Compared to that, right? And I can take this down into kindling green. In situ. I'll just burn it green, but you know, some of this, if it's thick enough, if I take a nice chunk, you know, that's, I figure if I throw that in the pile, even though it has bark all around it, or you know, just for demonstration purposes. Now it doesn't have bark all around it. So yeah, the thicker stuff, but in the main what I'm going for is if I can split it, if it's that wide, I'm splitting it and I'm saving it for firewood. And if it's smaller, I'm just burning it here. It is a little, you know, it gets harsh in hand once you're chopping down towards the ground. And the blade has quite a lot of flex, right? So you have all of this extension power, and this is really cool. That full extension on the handle basically takes the tip to the ground for me. And so I kind of, I've ground that, I've thickened out that tip a lot, because I will chop into the ground with it, and I'll just stick this in the ground so I can lean it against a tree or whatever. And that will still chop devastatingly roots and stuff, that semi-blunt apex. Now, but this thing will have more flex, but it, you know, I think this transmits the power to the end, this handle, aside from the fact that you have this compound movement, all kinds of compound movements that you don't have access to, although this does, because it has a long enough handle. You can, I'll use two hands more than for cutting, in fact, for moving stuff around on the floor and stuff. Katana machete is an awesome tool. Shout out to Joe X, who brought that blade to my attention. And if you can still find one, I recommend. You got the made in South Africa 1055 carbon steel cold steel katana machete. I bought a cache of 5. I'm not showing off. I mean, I am, I suppose, but it's also to make a point, you know. That's a big fucker. Right, let me try this chopper. No. Ha. Needs the hook. Man, the bit. Ugh. So sweet. It's a worthy adversary. Come here. I've used this a little bit for tying. I'm off camera. Well, maybe I'll just relax here for a minute. Bask in the glory of my achievements here. This handle, very handy handle. This handle. And I think I neglected to mention this one. This is take 2 of this video. Did I already put this in this video? Maybe it's going in twice. The Buck 151. I left it out of my single unit knife exposition video of yesterday. And it's a great one. Possibly the best. Did I already do this or not in this video? YouTuber anxiety. I gotta let it go. I'm over Kleshas, man.